Ladies and gentlemen, it is finally here. The 2026 NASCAR schedule has arrived. Yo, what's good everyone? My name is Jet. Welcome back to an episode of Inside Line. Hope you're having a wonderful day. Yes, that is right. The NASCAR schedule for 2026, at least for the Cup Series, has been revealed. The Xfinity and trucks will be revealed at a later date. Now, there were some shifts, not as many big major changes, except for the ones that we already knew what was going to happen, but let us go over it. Actually, before we jump into it, let me know your thoughts in the comment section down below on your opinions on the 2026 format. What are some things that you feel like maybe they missed, or what are some things that you're happy about, that you're not happy about? Again, leave all your thoughts down below. Okay, now let's go over. So let's first start off with the first 7 races of the schedule. Everything looks good from Fox's portion until you get to race number 6, and that is Darlington. Yes, Darlington will no longer, at least for its first race, will no longer be part of Mother's Day weekend, but will be moved up to race number 6 on the schedule on March 22nd. This change, don't really mind it. I don't really think it's a big deal, but regardless, Darlington, nice to see it gets 2 races still on the schedule like that. Now we get to the second part of Fox's schedule. Again, everything looks good. We get the off week on Easter Sunday. That still remains. Bristol, Kansas, Talladega, Texas. But then you get to race number 12, Watkins Glen. Yes, Watkins Glen will take over the 12th race of the schedule in May. This will be the first time ever that Fox, at least, will host the Cup Series for Watkins Glen. And this is also the earliest we've ever seen Watkins Glen be part of the schedule. Usually it's always been in the August, September area, not May. I'm very confused as for this decision. I don't know why. This will be taken over Mother's Day weekend, replacing Darlington, which moves up to the schedule. But I don't understand the reasoning for it. To me, it just seems like a weird move. I always felt like Watkins Glen was a perfect spot right before the playoffs, you know, second to last in the last 3 races, right where NBC has their schedule begin for NASCAR coverage. I don't understand the reasoning to move Watkins Glen up to May. I've never been to Watkins Glen. For the people that have been to Watkins Glen, I don't know if they're going to be happy with this trend. Like, it's one thing to move up a couple weeks or anything like that, but when you have like Watkins Glen, which has always been around the August area, move it up a few months to May is a massive change. Don't see the reason for it, but all right. And then we get the confirmation that the All-Star race will be moving from North Wilkesboro to Dover, and you notice the date, and it says May 17th on a Sunday. There were rumors or reports suggesting that NASCAR might be tinkering the idea of moving the All-Star race to Dover. I heard some people said that maybe, like, could we get lights at Dover, since that would be such a cool experience. If you play NASCAR Thunder 2004, you know that you could play Dover under the lights. I don't know if it's because of the air base or because near a military base, regardless of what the situation may be as to why Dover doesn't have lights, but it looks like we will have the All-Star race at Dover on Sunday afternoon. This is a huge no. No, like the All-Star race at Dover, really? I feel like the All-Star race should either be at a short track where points don't matter, it's all about having fun, you know, bring the steering wheel or the checker flag, one of those two things, or at a track where there's a lot of stuff going on, like at Charlotte, which was the week prior to the Coast 600. It built up to the main event. It made sense. This makes no sense. I'm sorry, but I do not get why Dover. Like, Dover, no. And for Dover to be its only race there is very disappointing. Maybe if it was under the lights, I would be happy with that. But if it is going to be taking place on Sunday afternoon, this is a big disappointment. Absolutely do not like this decision for NASCAR hosting its All-Star race at Dover. I mean, Dover is not a bad track, but really? For the All-Star race? Again, Charlotte made sense. North Wilkesboro made sense. Bristol made sense. Even to an extent, if Texas was good, at least it was under the lights. Yeah, okay. Somewhat makes sense. This makes 0 sense. Now let's take a look at Prime's schedule. Prime's schedule is basically the same. We start with the Coast 600, Nashville, Michigan. Pocono, instead of being the last race of the schedule, is now the second to last race of Prime's broadcast. But of course, the big one. NASCAR will be moving from the Chicago Street Course to San Diego at the Naval Base Coronado. Absolutely huge news when this first came out. I am ecstatic for this. I am so excited to see how NASCAR will perform in San Diego on an air base. That is going to be so cool. Hopefully I'm out to see that, but regardless, it's going to be awesome to see that. Love it. But other than that, Prime's schedule is roughly the same. Now, at TNT, they get a couple changes here. Atlanta started off their portion of race coverage this year. That will not be the case next year. It will be Sonoma. That will be the first race on TNT's portion. Then we go to Chicagoland. So we're still going to be in the Illinois area, but instead of Chicago Street Course, we're replacing that for the Chicagoland racetrack after a 5-year absence. Now, I love Chicagoland. Chicagoland has been a fan favorite. They've wanted to see that track return. It is returning, so I'm very happy about that. I love to see Chicagoland back on the schedule. It would be on July 4th weekend, which I believe was also part of 2018, if I'm not mistaken, that Chicago land had that race date. But awesome. Love to see that. But then we go to Atlanta. But look at the date. Sunday. It will be Sunday. More than likely, it will be a Sunday night race. I'm disappointed to see that because I want to see more Saturday night races, but obviously when the ratings came out for this year's Atlanta race, which were really bad, like 1.6 million or just over that, yeah, from a network decision, yeah, NASCAR figured, yeah, let's go back to Sunday night racing at Atlanta. So, yeah, very interested to see how this will do with the in-season tournament, if that will still continue next year, because I feel like they got a lot of pushback or got a lot of backlash for having the in-season bracket, and then 60 laps into the race, every single bracket was busted after the first race. So I feel like if we're continuing this ISC portion of NASCAR with the bracket challenge, maybe they want to give a little bit of leverage, not be so harsh on the fans. Be like, yeah, you start your bracket, first race Atlanta, it's a crapshoot. So yeah, but then after Atlanta, North Wilkesboro, for the first time since 1996, North Wilkesboro, 20 years actually, now that I'm thinking about it, 20 years later, North Wilkesboro will once again have a points-paying race on the NASCAR Cup Series calendar, Sunday, July 17th. Love that. Love to see that NASCAR is not only balancing going up to new areas like San Diego, but also going back to its roots, going back to the ovals like Chicagoland and North Wilkesboro, getting a points-paying race back on the schedule. Love to see that. Very happy to see NASCAR balancing the two. But hopefully the short track package is good enough so that North Wilkesboro can be a staple on the NASCAR calendar for years to come. Hopefully Richmond gave us a little teaser on how good short track racing can be on this car. And then of course, once again, TNT wraps up their portion of NASCAR coverage with the Brickyard 400. As you notice, on NBC's portion, we start off with an off week. Yes, that's right. For the first time in a while, NASCAR will have 2 weeks breaks in their schedule. So that is a much deserved needed break for the industry. I think for everybody. I think all of us can get the sense of burnout when you have racing week after week after week after week. I think this is a good thing for the drivers, for the teams, for everybody, for the industry. But I also think it's a good thing for fans. You know, I think we can deal with a week off from NASCAR once in a while. You know, I'm not saying we need to go the F1 route where you have a month off break, but I think we can handle having a week off here and there. So I think this is fine. Much deserved needed thing for NASCAR to do. Finally glad that they are doing that. But we once again begin NBC's portion of NASCAR at Iowa, just like this year. We then go to Richmond on a Saturday night. That I like to see. New Hampshire no longer part of the playoffs. It has been moved to the penultimate race of the schedule, August 5th, or I should say August 23rd on a Sunday. I don't know. Nashville in the lead up to the playoffs, I don't know about that. I feel like New Hampshire's the type of track, it's either in the middle of the NASCAR season or in the playoffs. Having it be a lead up because you want to get as many great tracks in as possible. New Hampshire, not a bad track, but in terms of things that can happen that could flip the playoff picture, I don't know, but I'll allow it. I'm good with it. And then, of course, we got Daytona wrapping up the regular season finale Saturday, August 29th. Now, the round of 16 of the NASCAR playoffs basically remains the same. Starts with Darlington in the Southern 500. Gateway is the second race of the round of 16, and we end off at Bristol Saturday, September 19th. The round of 12, again, remains the same. Kansas, Las Vegas, and the Charlotte Roval. The round of 8, bit interesting. Phoenix, no longer the championship race, has been moved to kick off the round of 8, Sunday, October 18th. Then we go to Talladega, August 25th. Martinsville, November 1st. And for the first time since 2019, Homestead will once again have the championship race on November 8th on a Sunday. Love to see Homestead back as a championship finale where it belongs. Bet one of the best racetracks on the schedule. It has to host the championship race. So that is your 2025 NASCAR Cup Series schedule. My thoughts on this, outside of the Watkins Glen thing, that part I'm feel very confused by. Other than that, I don't mind it. I actually kind of like this schedule. And the reason why I like it, and it's weird I'm going to say this, but there's not many changes. I think one thing I was afraid with this NASCAR trying on new different things with the schedule is that it will become a habit where we're expecting big, grand things to happen, where every year, 1 or 2, 3 major things happen. Sometimes it's okay to, you know what, let's calm the waters a little bit on the schedule here and there so that every once in a while we can throw in a big bang on it. We already got the bang with San Diego, but nice to see them bring back some of the traditional tracks like Chicagoland coming back on the schedule, with Wilkesboro getting a points paying race. I'm disappointed to see that the Chicago Street Race and Mexico City will not be part of the 2026 schedule. Hopefully they can come back in 2027. Would love to see that. But I like it. Personally, I really do like this schedule. Again, it's that nice little balance of a little bit new things. New things are old things are new again. I like this balance of the schedule. I like it a lot. And finally, NASCAR suggesting possibly opening the envelope to allow more Cup drivers to compete in the Xfinity and Truck Series. And this is just a suggestion. This is something that they are thinking. Steve O'Donnell further dove in deep into this in his discussion or his interview with Eric Issa. By the way, congrats to you, Eric, on 250,000 subscribers. That is awesome to see. But he kind of talked about that just a little bit, about maybe opening up to allow more Cup drivers to compete in more Xfinity and truck race instead of being limited to just 5. One thing I should remind everyone is that the only driver that has done that up to 5 at either Xfinity or Truck Series races is Ross Chastain. So personally, I think opening up the envelope to allow more Cup drivers to compete in more of the lower races, I don't think it's going to change anything, because nowadays sponsorship is the reason why you see Cup drivers even in the Xfinity Series, like with Joey Logano or Kyle Busch. It's usually the sponsor that wants them, not really their choice to go down to the lower division. So I don't think this is really going to change anything. Personally, I don't want them to really change anything, because I feel like now the Xfinity Series, that has an identity with the CW coming on board, the O'Reilly Auto Parts Series being the name next year, the drivers that are in the Xfinity Series, I feel like, you know, it's gotten its identity now. I don't want them to open it up like what it was back in the early 2000s, where bushwhacking was at an all-time high, where you had Harvick, Martin, and all those drivers running basically every single race. I don't like, if they open up to maybe having 7, 8 races, fine, but I don't want them to open it up to the sense of, okay, Cup drivers, you can race in Xfinity trucks as many times as you want. I do not want that. I do think that the Xfinity Series needs an identity. When you look at the drivers like the Justin Allgaiers, your Sam Mayers, the young drivers trying to rise up, your Connor Ziliches and drivers like that, Jesse Love is another one. I think the Xfinity Series is good where it is right now, and I don't want NASCAR to really change it so much about it. But those are my thoughts. What are your thoughts on the schedule and NASCAR possibly experimenting, opening up for more Cup drivers to race in the lower divisions? Let me know in the comment section down below. As always, don't forget to leave a like and subscribe for more content. Until next time, my name is Jed from MDK. Thanks for watching.